모두네 마다 차심만은 모두 주인주 산다데 쇼르체바라 에네다 쇼로가 숨바디 마무리니 대한다 지시 대마도 바디시도 깨다게와 새로군도야 디다 동에다 메자시 대가 야수 별라 줘버쇼 다디 지숨바디 차 쇼로가 숨바디
Continuing with the explanation, on the Mahamudra prayer of aspiration. Sorry? Can't hear? Continuing with the Mahamudra prayer of aspiration, the third verse reads, "Until that is attained, throughout all births or lives, may even the words wrongdoing and suffering be unheard. May we enjoy the splendor of an ocean of happiness and virtue."
다 되려야 남기 때 땅을 가서 쉬어나지 다 제라 소설면 받들려야 남기 때 표좀 써버려야 면 받들려야 저 튜모도 튜미 니스에 발에 저 튜모 겨완디네 안에 구시 공부하면 더 예봐 디시도 안에 미튜초 디바도 동에 게자 미라시 튜조 대화다 가베 벨라 다도로 영화쇼제다 튜모 지 토나 마람 딘디스타 아니 튜모 모이 바딜이야 아니 스가 시버디 용디가래 스가 시버디 텐저초도 가자 스가 시버마다 쇼로가 시버디.
So, as we were talking about earlier, that in the aspiration there being the distinction between general and specific, now in connection with the specific, and that also that as one treads on the path, the common aspiration or the uncommon aspiration and towards the fulfillment of common and uncommon aspirations. So, in connection with the common wishes or the aspiration on the path is that from now onward, until one has accomplished the realization of the four kayas, and may one be free from all untoward circumstances and obstacles, such as that of wrongdoings and even the very name of suffering, and on the supporting or the favorable side, so that with great joy and happiness and virtue that one may be able to fulfill the phases or the stages of the path. And this fourth verse of the aspiration indicates the uncommon aspiration, so-called the uncommon aspect of the aspiration.
Tumo mai badelaya ane teje tenjor chodo teju shirode shenie sande dambe chuto ne sushi dula phajima sero gundu an damje jabar shos sunche ane ten jik tegen juju sa milu rinpoche 다 류된 대견 주주 상황 밀류 좀 보지 또 봐다 아니 지금 샘된 대준 시럽다 대봐 아니 개인 계획신이 상보 상비의 중에 아니 지 톱 담배기 가서 당화하게 왜 가서 님부로 되게 톱체 엔데 달에 지다 주발을 다 수신을 주발에 지나게 바제면 다 되게 가서지 탐취해 주베 대상 토바로 된제 체면 남자비 말했어
So the uncommon or the particular aspiration, as it's indicated in the 4th verse, acquiring the best leisure and resources, may we have faith, diligence and wisdom, relying upon good spiritual friends and receiving the essence of the instructions, may we practice them properly without obstacle. In all our lives may we practice genuine Dharma. So this constitute making uncommon or rather specific particular aspiration, and that is given that in order to practice the Dharma one must have the important support of human birth, that also endowed with the so-called the 8 leisures and 10 favorable conditions or prerequisites as far as what is physically favorable, and then in terms of the mind, what is favorable to acquire is that there is a genuine the resource for faith, perseverance, diligence, and intelligence to support. And along with that one has the opportunity to come into contact with the necessary circumstance of encountering spiritual teacher or master, and from such spiritual master one has the opportunity to receive the skillful means of whatever essential instructions, and thus combining all of that, then one would have the ideal opportunity to be able to pursue the practice of Dharma in a very genuine and practical way.
다디 원래 샴리야 룽리 퇴베 미시 지르죠 맹아 삼베 티좀미나죠 kumjungwe ki ne lu shi shin shirab sum ge nawa ge ba shu sum che ta de la ya ane lam jube de an te ju mi lu sum so ba ta lam jube de sum so ba la ya me ba de chu ne ane lam de be to je gi shirab na ba sum to ba la ya me ba ze ba yin ba re ta de la ya to ma ane ji töbe shirab lungda ji ba töbe shirab töbe 시럽체 아니 니버데 이제 사베 시럽 고베 시럽체 아니 시럽숨 시럽숨부데베 가르줄 다 돈아 시럽숨 로직이 나와라도 게 주지지 네 몰람사비입니다.
So the next verse reads, hearing scriptures and reasoning frees from unknowing. Contemplating the instructions conquers the darkness of doubt. The light of meditation clearly reveals the nature as it is. May the brilliance of the 3 wisdom increase. So, in order to have the basis for treading on the path, the support of the favorable human existence, and then to the vehicle for the path, the favorable human existence. And in order to realize the path, then one should be equipped with the three wisdom. And as it is pointed out, through hearing and developing the wisdom of hearing, and then further more the wisdom of reflection, and then wisdom of meditation or actualization, and so that the joining of the three wisdom can bring about the fulfillment of the realization of the path.
다 가시 배나 지단 두경기 에네 시럽대야 지 총중기 시럽지가 연구 말했어. 건주문적으로 되는지 시럽지가 연구 말했어. 다 가라선 두경 배나지 intelligent somewhere 배 intelligence 두산다 총부서래. 다 가시 다 간다지 로드 지 세버 주에 봐. 다 된데 잠시게 평균 말다 다 배나지 지den기 메카셰지 템바사부 유데바지 지당하게 지den기 차와 패바 주벌이야 지 템바사부 유데바 이나야야 지 최주베 걸어야 하고 대수역이 지 세부시다 메딩에 템바 미세와 템바 미데바 지 용데도와 드린 두산다 이제 뭐이바 에네 급디 에네 지 시럽데 빵랑 제베 조다 지 정규做特别学啥的，但人距离啊，学到当前，帮人给桥下切过样的，帮人给桥下切不来呀，他是我从不远的不是知道，西巴三不远的不这个评价嘛的，这里这样啊呢，特别细了的，娘们把我写不习惯，三百细了的娘们把我念不习惯，光百细了的娘们把。找重庆的渠道，他本土不是关切，他那送不能新钱呢，他讲到这，缺牛毛，缺钱吧这样子，心军队确实做土不是，心军绝土不是的，心军绝呗，露太阳，这个我冲入去不到的，就退把钱入去不怎么是的，这卡带入去不着的，样那这个。被出最忙不来呀，娘下钱的多些吧，怎么？真的是没吧？他做的那就娘么被娘不来呀，做头呀，那真的都开全部其他差的呀，那就上他推上工作需要他们这，娘么被娘不来呀，七级都娘说两个呀的，那么三个月，这娘们开全部其他的蛮多生活。
So, here when we're talking about hirap or wisdom, it should be understood in the light of the profundity of the kind of intelligence we are talking about. So, it is not just mere superficial intelligence or worldly intelligence, what you might call being smart and witty about certain things. And but here we're talking about when it comes to the understanding of the Dharma, that one has the clarity of the mind to comprehend and the stability of the mind to be able to retain what one has comprehended. And so then that can lead to what is required here is the know-how in terms of what is it that is harmful and negative to be discarded and what is wholesome to be embraced, and how to go about doing that, and the practical discernment that can support the know-how in terms of abandoning what is unwholesome and embracing what is wholesome. So, obviously, being clever in a worldly sense, or being smart when it comes to going about worldly things is not sufficient. It's not relevant here. And how that is so is that it is through the wisdom of hearing, the so-called the wisdom of hearing, that one must have the knowledge of the workings of conflicting emotions. It is through the wisdom of contemplation or reflection that one is able to decrease the intensity of mental afflictions. And it is through the wisdom of meditation, actual application, that one is able to gradually uproot mental afflictions or neurosis altogether. So that's the kind of the wisdom that with the profundity we're talking about. So in that sense that the results of the application of this wisdom in the manner of the practice of the Dharma should affect the taming of one's mind and the bringing about a definite wholesome transformation that in the statement and the state or the outlook of one's mind. Once again, it is not to be misunderstood for just being clever in a worldly context. It doesn't even that simply because one is knowledgeable does not necessarily indicate that wisdom, nor if one is able to, one is eloquent with words, and that itself, that also is not an indication. And even if one is able to give the impression that one is able to sit still for a long period of time, even that is not necessarily an indication that one has embodied the three wisdom. But what would be a real indication is that there is diminishing of conflicting emotions, or that the wisdom that one is embracing counteracts one's conflicting emotions, so that it becomes the real antidote for freeing one of one's mental afflictions.
다 드네마 지도산에 숨버데 추미게라 다 당기디 남지 댄을 멤버치 안 드네다 추미게 남응을 가사데 니버데 ane 가사 남데 또베 탑 시럽을 멤버시 안 드데 숨버데 추미게 남응을 멤버사데야 다 추바다 텐더베지 시럽 숨 로드게네 강도버 쳐규 남데 그레스 저와 들려 요나타 들려 가지고 다시 다들 디니시도 주그로 다들 순이라서 시시 다들 뒤니 자도 제도베 구주매베 쉬다 태버 쇼체지 아다다 실람 제수 실람 제수베 구주매베 남양다바 들려야 아니 가수 라바지요 아지들이 뭐는 게 요입니다.
So, just going back, that the vehicle for the path being the precious human existence, and in order to be able to realize the path, the application of the three wisdom. And if one is to ask as to what is to be realized. And then for that is signified by this next verse. The ground is the two truths beyond the extremes of eternalism and nihilism. Through the supreme path of the two accumulations, beyond the extremes of exaggeration and denial, the fruition, the two benefits beyond the extremes of samsara and nirvana is attained. May we encounter Dharma free from error and deviation. And so, what is to be realized is the essence of the ground path and fruition, which is completely free of error and deviation.
Ta di jele ya ta shiva nyam de ta sumba di na ga ru de de ta chumi ya la mo su de ne ene shiva de de bi chuba me be lam de nyam so lin ju de ba le ya a thoma dor di ber ji song an di shu de le ya kom de la len ge ba de ji song na ga de ni thoma ta dor di be ko de dor di be de ba na wa de le ya ene 제시 심기 사동 순조라 정시 차신 도시 내줄치 자지 루루 주베 저만나 자제 지지 추궁은 줄쇼스
So in this way, this indicating that the path that one needs to embrace is unmistaken, and the process in which one trades that path. So the general and specifics are explained in the following verses. So the first, beginning with what it is one needs to work on. The ground of purification is the mind's nature, a union of lucidity and emptiness. What purifies is the great Vajra Yoga of Mahamudra. What is purified is the stain of adventitious delusion, is it? May the result of purification, the stainless Dharmakaya, be revealed.
다데 곰데 냠술래 바단 도된 게셔 니예베 나나다 게버샤바텔야 곰데 냠술래 바텔야 카르다 고된 도르데 바 직체 고아르체 아니 곰데 냠술래 바텔야 아니다 실어줘 도체 다외디 텔라마인 좀 고베네 곰데 거라 자중 죄베죠 다곰 죄베 딩단데 버 쇼스 다 딘데지네 다 곰데 냠슬레베 소딜이야 에네 다당기 실람 데스무들이야 봐 다곰 죄스무도 봐 자라나지 시디 다 다외 때라 팔고 봐 에네 다외 때라 팔고 봐다 에네 가수레 다외 때라 파바디 에네 마히베 곰베 고네 에네 주신 냠슬 레네 에네 다르 진이 신의 하동 곰 가서 곰드기 가서다지 곰드인디수 에네 제장니 도배 가서지 죄배 보온된 거 봐봐 다들의 뉴스안에 다도는 다곰 죄송기다 냠술랜다 가서 곰드 냠술랜다 돌두지 마소나 리리샤
So how to approach the practice explained generally and more in detail, and that is the next verse indicating and how to understand and how to apply that into practice with the proper perspective. For instance, the verse reads, severing misconception of the ground is certainty of the view. Sustaining that without distraction is the point of meditation. Training in all aspects of meditation is the best action. May we have the confidence of the view, meditation, and action. So here, that through one's practice, and one is to begin to appreciate how the ground path and fruition corresponds with the view, meditation, and action. And so that in terms of the ground, the establishing the proper view, and having established the proper view towards having it become actualized, not just as a view, the experiential insight through whatever phases of Shine and Hatthong meditation, and then the bringing about the resourcefulness of the mind ability, and then how to have that insight, how to live that insight from the point of view of action. So in this way, how the ground path and fruition could correlate or correspond with the view, meditation, and action.
다금 쥐었음 대양에 가서 뭐 주변에 신 아니 저 남게를 법에 지 가수에데 개조르지 내 당보발에 개조르지 듣게 되와시 고요스 못는 신 내 당보에 가사들 앞에 개조르 냠len차 지두스탄에 드글럼을 거라스디 하고 바제제베 공부하지 마소네 지 지기제라야 아니베 디젤 디포아이다서 거라스 today you matter can't do to matters at the use that tagum this linear and that delaya tagum choose ne ji was in yang sulen go res tagum choose ne ji was at the resana and tawa kharim but the gomba kharim but the jevres muyo mares 다와디 공바디 줘버려 수고요 말해서 다음 주에서 근데지 샤베이네야 디 전주 토베 줄이야 왜 가셔야지 전주 토베 줄을 내지도 들어가지다 에너지 다음 주에서인데 야채도 마송 냠소래 고래 소야 된다래서
So, in applying the view, meditation, and action, as I had said on a previous occasion, that when one pursues the practice of the Dharma, one must realize that the Dharma needs to be practiced in a systematic way, the stage by stage, not sort of in a random way or anyhow, any which way that one might prefer to. There's a particular phases or stages of practice, and after when this one is completed, and it should be followed by the next one, and so on. So in a very systematic, step-by-step way. And at the same time that the purpose of the view, meditation and action is the same. That is not to say view is meditation and meditation is action, they are all same. It's again not to be sort of to misread it that way. That whether you're pursuing from the point of view or from the point of view meditation and action, that it should all be directed towards the realization of complete awakening, towards the achievement of complete awakening. At the same time that they work in a way of combination, that one supporting the other. So it should not be that one in the absence of the other.
Pena dikasa pena sokjue de chacha wimina tambu chu so juen de ka sho da ji duxie de shukuru ta ji so juen de gunong be puru so ju go nyam be ji duxie de ji dang be de ji duxie ji yung ta ta we so che ta de yang ne yang do be so juen de gunong de be so jue de pena ta di pena de ga so lu chi se sa ta ta lu so juen de gunong ani yang ne yang do ani de lu de be ji se ne ani di sha sa go nyam ba da ani lu sha shi bu ye nyam ba da a de de sang ma bu ko yin de sa ne yang ne da de gong ga chi go da zhe ji da ni ma chi le ya ko de ma do jing ju me ba de cha yin de sa ne da ko be ni ba chi le go da an ta ma de ma do be lu sha ma do jing ju me cha yin de sa de je ma de le ne ko be la ne da yin go ba an ji ki yung ge na ga che ne mi shi da ge da ge ne che ne ko dine karsa jebe tolya laring wene tari gorba dine dusane tagom je sum chandawaji ene migewe tolya yoncho gore ne dusane daga ji tagom karso tawa도 gombe minga tawa samshige tagom go gocho yo manes garasar migiwale ne ba tagom so chandawaji be ta ne dusan luksha gomdebe gombati gombe gocho mares luksha gom da be luksha ma to tenju mewa chan di gomba di ne gombe ja gocho wa na so ba luksha sanjo la ne luksha gom tema to tenju mewa cha de di gombe pa ji gocho ma na so de ta ne do droch ne do ruzu de ta ne do droch ko resta ne do droch ko resta.
So maybe we can also look at it this way, that even when it comes to unwholesome activities, we can in somewhat a similar way attach the idea of view and meditation and action to unwholesome, in connection with unwholesome activities or deeds. And for instance, if one wants to kill an animal, let's say that of a sheep, and so that the intent to kill the sheep would be like the view. And so then when one keep contemplating on that initial wish or intent, and would be like the meditation in terms of the reflection that one would have go into it, and so that if one kills the sheep, then one would have lamb to eat, and lamb is very delicious to eat, and so one goes into it and more, and to the point that at some point that just one is driven by this thought, and one can't, sort of like one is stuck with this thought, which is like meditation or the reflection. And then at that point, all that is left is to act it out. And so, translating into the action, one will either, bring a knife or whatever one will use to kill, or one will have somebody else and to kill. So, resulting into action. So, the point is simply, something is called, labeled as view, and meditation and action is not necessarily anything good or profound. And so, meditating on killing a sheep, reflecting on killing a sheep time and again, I wonder any good result would come out of it. And so, from that point of view, that when one talks about or thinks about the view, meditation, and action, that it must be in tune with what serves the true meaning of that, so that it is essentially purposeful.
Today in Jusane, Tikunsen la Tiene, and a Tawas doing Jimmy Jibe and a Karsueta, Tawas Justan and Azusam Jibiaji, Tong Tomboruchi, Tawa Tong Tombo, Roji, Yinguana Lusha, Jam Watch, Tuni Tawas Yingo, and Tawas at in Jimmy. Tawa can you ever in there? Pena Tebe Tawa of Jebi Yimina. Any T. Yabina, Teda, T. Gombata, Teda, Jebi Jaba, Nangi Umores. Pena Tuni Tawa Yabina, Tuni Gombata, Tuni Dan Jebe, and Jabash Nangi Umores. The day in Justane, Tawa said in Jimmy G. Kashueta, Tuni Tawaro, Mebo, Kashueta, Tonton Burbachi, Ingua, Yomaras. They are Jide Yaro with Tawa Summer. Young Tabi, Tawas to San Energy, Teba, but a Tabala Sobina, Tower Shasha, Jungova. That name to Sane Tebe Tawa Yebena, Tebe Gombata Tebe, Tebadan Jebe, Jabala Sobatan, Angu in Dusane, then Donatic Tagum Jesum Tibe, Josuchi, by Sonsa Chiburochi, Dambe, Casuan Dor Deserve, Nengaroji, Ben Deserve Chill, and draw out the case of Shirara Jimcha.
As such, when, for instance, we talk about view, it should not be just simply thought of view from the point of view, the view of emptiness. And when we're talking about a view, it could only refer to that kind of view. Because we can have view in connection with faith or confidence. And so, on the basis of the view concerning faith and confidence, we can have corresponding meditation on faith, and we have also that resulting action in connection with faith. So, again, that view should not be necessarily only thought of as view in the case of emptiness or such, the theoretical concept of such kind. And because even in a worldly context, we can talk in terms of the wholesome view of like wholesome society and action, contemplation and action accordingly. And then we talk about the perfect or pure view and corresponding contemplation or meditation and action accordingly. So in this way, that in essence, that one must have a proper sense of understanding of what it is that defines a view, meditation and action, and particularly in the context of the practice of the Dharma, and thus maneuver or carry out in a way that it serves the intended purpose.
Tati Jelea and the go Gomyam Celebalea, Tidang Taji. That was it. Count some in the world, the Diva Hasa. Doji Chanduma, Megalia, and a shallow gomje gama mu gomje gola so ta de sung yo de da ke chum sha re de ni sa da de da che ji be chuen yam le ju de je ba ju yan ji sa de da che ji de do de shi chua ji da de le ya tong ma ane ka sa gomje da bo xian lo yin be wa chue yi da bo ma da gomje da bo se na zhuo da gomje da bo xian lo yin be de la gomje da bo xian lo la jue ge gom da bo yang de xian lo re de ni du sa ne gom de xian lo la jue ge ka re sa na da de ya ka san de long de ni ji ge ma yu na zhuo da de ji re de ma yu na chos kim do de ha re de jiao yang guen ba ma be jiao gu sa ma de su le da o da jiao yang guen ba yin bi gom jie da bu me ba sing gi qi ka sa zero da sa ji sa jo da che ne ka re sa na da nga so gom ji ge ba yin ne de ji chen di wang de shao yin bi na an zhe ge ma re su da de le ju sa na chen di nang gi da xian ba da ma zhe yin bi na da je shi ge ba do ji ko ran ji gom nyam le ya wo chong bu yin bi ne ya ji chen di de la be ji ji ka shuo ji zao an de ma chue bei de yong le xian ba ma chue bei bi yin ju sa ne an ne ya ji de yong ge luo ti ni o da de ji ka shuo ji sen mi yin an ne cha xin ge bei ne ya o zhe le sam san ru jie jie an ne guo de de chen de an ne zhi da xuan zhu nga de ne ju sa ne da gom de ne ju sa ne gom ji da bu di da bu jiang yin lu se ne da du che da bu jiang se che yin min sa ji ka shuo da guo bei ji sang chang ru di ga da zuo ji sen di na da xian luo su ma da de ne ju jia wei ju san da gom ji da bu xian luo le jue ge song.
So now in the actual practice of meditation, probably most of you are familiar with the short lineage prayer, lineage supplication, Doji Changtong Ma, and there it points out how renunciation is the foot of meditation and the devotion is the head of meditation. As analogy, and so since those are very important points concerning the practice of meditation, so probably if I say something along that line would be maybe appropriate. So in that context, so I think it's in the teaching by Jawa Yang Dunba.
No.
And so
Yang Tao Ga Naru Gu Na Gu
Yang Dunba.
Ba.
Yang Dunba. And in that it said that the owner of the meditation is revulsion or renunciation. And so leave your meditation in the care of renunciation. So as a caretaker. And because the tendency normally is that if you fail to leave your meditation in the care of renunciation, that is to say, anchored in renunciation, then even if you have some glimpses or some experiences of meditative insight, but since one has not completely experienced uprooting of clinging to worldly existence, that one can become distracted here and there by concerns of this life and worldly interest. And even though there was initially a bit of an experience, but that experience seems to be now fading away, and one is drifting more into the old world of the being caught in the illusion of the reality of worldly outlook. And so in this way, that basically one slips back into where one was previously. So from that point of view, and that it should be meditation should be anchored in renunciation.
The better China, one digit. That is Chatan Jung, the Chatan Shana Kumana, the Chatan Jung, the double Seshavina, Tawachi, and Papa Sudi Yachimris, Papa Sudi. And a good Shava Dizarchin, oh, Nala, Papa Sudi Pumeas Goyers, Pume Josh. And a good Shava Kashe, Papa Sudi Pumeas Kaya wrestlers. And the Joranga be put is a passion at the Garavasla. The Joram machine did Tabachi Chen and be the Jebe Kasuta, Shalia with the Tonachana, what's in this letter? Ye catch it, simply churching him at the catching mess. Tikilavers that is so Chan and got Takanda, Kaliga, simply churching him at the catching mess and Toba, the by long gen. Chantum Shasa saying, girl.
So, maybe to support this, use an example, and the example, the story around it is pretty long, but just to summarize it, that it is said that once one monk went to the meat store and asked for the pig feet, foot, huh? What? Tortoise, yeah. Oh, tortoise, yes. Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, tortoise, yeah. Tortoise, yeah. Okay. And so pig, tortoise, turtle, tortoise, yes. Okay, pig, tortoise. And so, but he was very specific. He said he, wanted the pig. Yeah, okay, you said it. Okay. Huh? Torting. Oh, torting. Pig tortoise. Pig tortoise without, any hair, any fur? No, hair. Okay. So then the shopkeeper, he said, why you are so fussy, and you can get rid of yourself, And besides, like as a monk, why you should be, so particular about, the meat
Tortoise.
and then and the turtle and
Without hair.
Yeah, the hair and all of that. Why you're so particular about it? And as a monk, you shouldn't be. And so, in response, he said, "I practice Dharma with my mind, not with my mouth." So, so. The warning, if you would, is that there is the chances of sort of slipping into worldly things like this way. And with more and more excuse, and after that, you'll start eating meat and you'll start drinking, and then you can say, I practice Dharma with my mind, not with my actions, or whatever. And so for that matter, it's very important that it is anchored in the place of renunciation. I think that's the point, driving it back.
다 디젤이야. 곰지 봉든 순대 인송다. 곰지 봉든 순대 인송도 산다 곰데고 고戒退啊 곰지 戒退啊야 야 권의 권도 배야야 네 순대 치고를 라마라 소완데바 초도 주바 인송 나이네 소완데바 사야데 들어가서 지금 미 가르쳐 미주 지지 제대와 담배 라바 테모 잘대와 안 다나시 지 리포레야 갱엔 되는데부터 집에 평가가 많았어 순대 고치고 만났어 순대 원에서도 그러지 거라서나 랑게 룽아 이송래야베 가르쳐야다 대바 증상에 매버스就是다 랑게 룽아 이송을 가르쳐야지 현상으로 중세에 매버체체甚至 탐색에 된도 안에 다지 라마도 부조래야 표체 이 천디 남도다 천디 랑된 이些个路给这样嘛这个钱呢우주 능력特别是的说大把人民呢我的孙子样孙子是送不来了孙子前边前年去了园住过的孙子就高阳学过来送这里就是啥呢让对一切给光呢说大把人呢他这开始孙子现在呗这俺呗开始차바 차가쇼 나라 안에 서주 가사다지 breakfast 서주라가쇼 나라니 지부구야 영화쇼 등에서지 만남다 보이나 맞지 미세 라메 지름 난과자요 말때 그런 저 소소소에 가서 랑고 간대를 제시하는 저도와 근데就是근데 뭐 오늘 이제 순대는 좋아지 순대 고쳐버지 제거나 다 지금 천디기 랑 조조다 천디 남도 중세면도 용식 말도 의미는 천디 랑된 이체배 랑된 지당 랑된의 제대 최고를 돼 랑된 가서지 코나 좀 되게 삼바 소마로다 랑된 코나 좀 되게 삼바 진짜 뭐 이마 아니지 다 됐음도 그래 어다된 들이람 좀 현케도 쓰베 랑된 소마로다 다 랑된 좀 내네 대래 지당 미 람진 타수묘르스 미 접되게 니된 주고레스 민진되게 현된 주고레스 미 타마데 랑된 지부르지 되게레스 근데 송도가 대래 주산에 다 냠슬랭게 고양지 랑된 현케도 마세 랑된 접되나 오스도 다 진짜 뭐 현케도 써야 랑된 되더니 하자도 최는 게 와샤래 드린 주사 진짜 뭐 이메체네 근데 소화다 버기나 소화되 고쇼르스 딱 한다지 그런 라메기 이제 투기다 베제 라메기 투기다 베 전이라 베 로아르 또 수용고에 빈두산 가수지기 라메기 에너지 남다르다 라메 가서 투규의 연된다 가수지기 랑기 규 세투바다 데투바 될라야 타치 가수지기 녀를 침베이네 대수지기 랑라야 라메 투규의 실업 중요와 인두산 디준세는 때네 에는 아주 라메기 투규기 남다르다 연된 수충버르 된지기 에너지 삼조르 나버타베 토네 소아타베이나 안데디 가르쳐 칠름 중거레스 마도 지베 삼조르 상말로베 라메 남다르도 연데디 감게도 친데베지기 에는 라마라 소아타베된 라메 칠름 주사 가보샤레 단 조즈인데왜 나 녀월다에 나 란된 코는 신된 코는 중계다 맞다.
So now the second important point is what can bring about the continuous enhancement of the practice is supplication, and that supplication to the Lama, and and the prayer to the Lama, and that so here one needs to understand as to what constitutes the kind of prayer that is being spoken out that will bring about the enhancement of the meditation practice. Simply giving the impression that one is expressing a devotion and that one is able to even shed tears and that one is going to some corner and the uttering whatever words that sound very prayerful does not necessarily constitute what is being pointed out as prayer that can bring about the correct and proper enhancement of the meditation. So here, prayer or supplication means that one is able to completely let go of clinging to one's body, speech and mind. That one has no reservation, not even the slightest reservation, to hold back anything in the way of one's body, speech and mind, and being able to offer it completely at the disposal of the benefit of sentient beings and towards the enlightenment of beings, and not tainted by any personal, any worldly interest. And if one is able to make this prayer of letting go of the clinging to one's body, speech and mind completely, and that offer it fully, and then that is the true prayer, true supplication, which can bring about the twofold, the accomplishment or realization of the twofold siddhis, which can bring about the experience of blessings, and therefore it will truly serve as the authentic or the real prayer. And so any other elaborate words and so forth, but that the inward intention is selfish, of rather that not so important worldly concerns, and make prayers so that I make prayers and grant blessings so that my cold may go away, and so that I may have good breakfast, and that grant me blessings through my prayers, so I may sleep well, and so forth. So probably for such things you don't really need blessings. You just do the things that will, make these things happen, and that you wouldn't have to go as far as seeking the blessings of the Lama. So, to the best of one's ability, that the prayer should constitute being able to complete surrendering of one's body, speech and mind, and to the best of one's ability, being sentient beings in the world. Obviously, one can't be completely free of worldly concerns and interest, but at least the best way I can put is that in fulfilling your personal interest, that others are not hurt, or that others' interests are not completely ignored. And it is also that said that individuals are of different capacities. Those of the highest capacity can fulfill the twofold benefit, personal as well as benefit of others, one's own complete benefit and the complete benefit of others. And those who are of middling capacities can fulfill the benefit of others. Those who are of the lesser capacities can only fulfill that personal interest or worldly benefit pertaining to oneself. And so the idea of prayer as supplication is that one's mental outlook that comes closer and closer to the example of the life of one's the Lama that one looks up to and exemplified by and so in this way inching as closer and closer to the outlook or the mind of the Lama through embodying and through appreciating the liberating activities or the namtar of such great being, and therefore that oneself being the vessel for containing and the blessings in that sense. So, in essence, that one's intention and action, must not go against, what it should be in terms of in context with the Dharma, what one's intention and action. So it's not basically not say and think one way and do the opposite, and shouldn't be that way.
다 바지 디네라 참샤나 거스르당 라니기 가자지 최라 지두메네 팽게 녀와이 말해 라니 녀바 차나 조스데 좀었어 텔레 녀바 마자 걸 참샤쇼 참샤다 디린다이 야
So
so okay, finished. No need so, just finished. Okay. Really finished, Sonam de tamje sibani domne nyebe. Kega na je balo jubo yesibe zole jo chanju samjo rembo ma ge ba na ge yo je ge ba nya ba me kone bondo be